Well, I finally did it. I finally upgraded to a better mill. It's the Precision Matthews 935 TV. It's a variable speed and it has a 3 horsepower motor. I ordered the 220 single phase motor. It has the 9 by 35 inch table. My jet round column mill had a 9.5 by 32.25 inch table. You can rotate the milling head horizontally and vertically. You can also angle the milling head front to back. You can rotate the entire milling head and position it in and out over the milling table. It also has the one-shot oiling system that oils the X, Y, and Z dovetails. The quill has 3 different boring speeds. I ordered mine from Precision Matthews with the DRO installed. All I had to do was mount the display. They put all the scales on the machine. I also ordered the X-axis auto drive, but I installed that myself. Those are pretty easy to put on. The first thing I did when I got the mill was raise it up about 6 inches to give it a little more comfortable working height. I noticed that just about everybody that buys one of these mills does the same thing. I ordered a couple of pieces of 2 by 2 by 1/8 inch thick, 48 inches long steel. So all I have to do is just cut them in half. The 2-foot long pieces were perfect for the mill. So I just used a square to mark where I need to put the holes. So after I drilled all the holes for the leveling pads and the holes for where the steel is going to mount to the bottom of the milling machine, I decided to spot weld the square tubing together so that I can keep the holes in line to make it easier to install. The leveling pads that came from Precision Matthews are metric threads. They're 12 millimeter, and the bolts that came with it are going to be too short. So I ordered 12 millimeter high strength threaded rod from McMaster-Carr and a box of 12 millimeter nuts and washers. I cut the threaded rod to the size I needed for the leveling pads. I cut off a piece of the shipping pallet that the milling machine came on. It ended up being the perfect height to give me clearance to mount the tubing and leveling feet. I used a toe jack to get the machine high enough to put 4x4 blocks underneath it. Once I had it sitting on 4x4 blocks, I used an automotive floor jack to raise it the rest of the way because my toe jack doesn't go high enough. Once I got it high enough, then I could slide the piece of the pallet underneath it. You can see I still have the 4x4 blocks on the back side of the milling machine. The machine is really heavy, and it would have been too top heavy for me to just let the back side of it sit on the concrete floor. I used quick clamps to clamp the tubing on the bottom of the milling machine to make it easier to get the nut started on the threaded rod. Now that everything's tightened up on the front side, I moved around to the back with the floor jack and jacked the machine up from the back side. I was able to jack the back side up high enough for the feet to land on the floor in the front. So then I removed the 4x4s and slid the pallet back to the back side of the machine. And here it is 6 inches higher with the leveling feet. The first project for my new mill is to make a speed handle for my milling vise. It came with this big bulky handle, which is the same as most vices come with, but I hate this handle. So I bought a speed handle for my older vise. This is the speed handle on my old vise. The problem I have with the new vise is the hex shaft is 14 millimeters, and the most common size is 3/4 inch. So the 14 millimeter is hard to find, so I just decided to make my own. So stay tuned for the next video.